Okay, so resilience. You said he had a shot in the Wood Memorial, and he certainly did. You were at Keeneland. Talk about, I was watching the race on the simulcast.
Well, I thought he had a great trip. Johnny rode him very well, got him away from the gate, got good position. He got, maybe jammed up a little bit on the first turn, but had a smooth trip down the backside. And when he asked him, he responded and he finished up well. And the best part is, he looked good visually, and Johnny thought he ran really well.
You used the Risen Star to great effect before. Country House, I believe, was second in the Risen Star.
I believe he was, yes.
Yeah, and then went on to win the Kentucky Derby.
Via disqualification, probably the first time in history, but at least we made history.
At least you got to be in the winner's circle deal. Poor Brad Cox didn't even, get to go through all the...
Rose presentation.
Yeah, but still, obviously, it goes without saying, you want to know what it's like to actually have the horse.
Yeah. That was a great day for us. We were so thrilled that Country House finished second. We were, my son and I were high-fiving, and we were elated. And then all of a sudden, they hung the inquiry sign up, and after 24 minutes, they hung his number up. So it was a very exciting day.
Well, tell us about resilience. He's got a beautiful pedigree into mischief out of a smart strike mare.
Well, he's by a hot sire out of a good broodmare sire, and he's well bred out of the entire family is very good. It's I believe the family of Courageous Cat, and who I trained to win a Grade 1, and the owners have been in the breeding business for a long time, and they've done a lot of good things. They've done a lot of good matings and had a lot of good horses, and resilience is just a result of their program.
What are the traits in resilience that you think make him a contender for the Kentucky Derby? What do you like about him?
Well, now the one thing he hasn't done is win a race going 10 furlongs. I think that's obviously something that everybody in the race has to do, and very few of them have done it. I guess horses coming out of the Louisiana race have gone 1 mile and 3/16, which is as close to what you're going to get as as a Derby prep. But he's I think he's tactical. I think he's got tactical speed. He's not a deep closer, which is probably a good thing in the Derby. At least if you don't have to negotiate 20 horses, maybe you have to negotiate 5 or 6, or half the field would be 10, so if you're a deep closer, you've got to come past 19 horses, 18, 19 horses. So, hopefully, you're able to get away and get some sort of early position, so you don't have to encounter all that traffic.
He took a few starts to win for the first time, but raced well.
Mm-hmm.
Was he always a horse that you thought, obviously with his pedigree, he's well intended?
We thought he was going to be a nice horse. He showed us in the mornings that he had some ability, had some maturing to do, and actually, we put a set of blinkers on him for his last race, just to even give him a little more focus, maybe help him mature a little more through the equipment change. But it seemed to help. It seemed to help him focus, and he was up in the race, and he was responsive when Johnny asked him.
You talk about a key race. The Risen Star produced 3 Grade 1 winners in their next
Right.
starts.
Yeah. No,
well, I'm sorry, the Wood's a Grade 2, but it should be historically a
Yeah.
Grade 1.
No, good race. Everything in there, the first 4 finishers looked to be very good.
And just talk about his race in the Risen Star, which won by Sierra Leone, who then won the Bluegrass.
We were in great position. Johnny got him in great position down the backside. We were second. We were in a, perfect stalking position, tracking the leader. They turned for home, and the leader drifted out and sort of, didn't bump us, but, sort of drifted out. And our horse kind of took a look at him and hesitated momentarily. And, he wasn't able to get him back running again, to finish up. Maybe Sierra Leone was going to beat him anyway, but I think he would have been a little bit closer if he stays focused all the way through the stretch.
Your thoughts on Sierra Leone? Who will be no worse, I figure, than second choice for the Derby?
Well, he can run. I mean, no doubt. I mean, he's a great big, you know, interesting striding horse. I mean, he came home with a flourish the other day. I mean, he was, you know, didn't have a good trip, or certainly didn't have the ideal trip, and he closed well, and so very talented. Now, he's probably a horse, if he runs the same way he did in the Bluegrass, Sierra Leone's, he's a horse that will have to negotiate a lot of traffic.
And when you look at all the major preps are over, when you look around, you feel like, why not Resilience as far as wearing the roses on? I mean, do you feel like he fits with anything that's out there?
Well, I'm not up for making predictions as far as the outcome of the race. All I hope that I can tell you is our horse is going to be doing well going into the Derby. I hope I can make that report, you know, every time you ask me, and leading up to the race, and then we'll just see what the outcome is.
People who have won the Derby say, you know, they use the word out-of-body experience, and they say it just makes you want to win it that much more, that you can't imagine how much more you think you can't want to win it more than you want to win it, but when you do. Now, admittedly, you know, your win was a little different. Did you have an out-of-body experience when you were out there?
No, but you know, we were certainly thrilled. I mean, it was different. I mean, I've got to tell you, you know, with the crowd and the cameras and everything, it was quite interesting waiting 24 minutes, you know, and waiting for people to, you know, looking for some kind of a response, I suppose, that was quotable or notable, and so the waiting that time was pretty interesting. I mean, it did feel like you're in a little bit of a zone, so to speak, and then of course then they hung the number up, and you know, then we were elated.
Yeah, and does it make you want to just win that much more?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, naturally, you know, we want to win all the time. We want to win as much as we can, and we never seem to get enough of it. I mean, that's what we do, and that's what we try to do. But you know, I would really like to win it with the horse that crosses the line first, and that would be a thrill.
The Derby, it's a whole different animal, it seems like, now than when Taylor Special was your first Derby starter. That these horses that come into the Derby and it's their fourth career start, you didn't see that.
You're right. No, very different. I mean, I never thought I'd ever see a horse win the Derby that hadn't run as a 2-year-old, and then I believe we saw that with Justify, and I don't know if we've seen it with somebody else, but he might have been the first. And I always, you know, before that, I always looked at everybody and I say, well, this horse, you know, statistically, he can't win the Derby because it just hasn't been done once or twice or 3 times. It's just, I don't think it had ever been done that I knew about. I think, you know, a nice setup for any horse running that time of year is if you get a couple of races as a 2-year-old and get that experience and get that foundation, and then have a little time in between to mature and grow and develop, and then, you know, but then you've got to get your momentum going back in the spring to get ready again. So, and we were lucky enough to get a race in him, you know, early on, and so, you know, hopefully he fits what I think a horse, a nice program is. You know, there's, you know, a lot of different ways to skin a cat, but it you know, I guess what you picture in your own mind is what would be ideal is maybe a situation like he's been in.